So, what can Death Stranding tell us about human extinction and human connection? That's the question, right? What is this game doing about it? Because if you think about it, Death Stranding is this big bare wasteland where you play as a delivery guy who's connecting Wi-Fi across regions. That is, if you have any friends who've played this game, that's literally how most of them will describe them. I'm not even kidding you. You are a delivery guy transporting packages across the country and connecting people to Wi-Fi. But I want to dive into more of the deeper layer undertones of this game. I think that from the very get-go, from the very beginning, you know you're into this very cinematic experience, and it's Hideo Kojima. Like, the guy knows how to make a game that sticks with you and challenges you and makes you think and has full of twists and surprises, and will honestly always be sad that we'll never get his version of Silent Hill. Enough of that, I actually saw a tweet from him talking about how he went to the grocery store and there was nobody there. It was a self-checkout line. He wrapped his tote bag like a BB from the game that he created to sort of feel more connection. And I think that was my first hint about what the deeper underlying questions that this game is bringing up to us. And I think it's very wonderful. But I also am aware that the gameplay can be kind of different to some. And I think Death Stranding is a game that finds you, you don't find it. And I think it found a lot of people because it released around the time everybody was in lockdown, right? Where you wanted to go outside, where you wanted to step out. But it was weird because it also felt alone. You are so isolated in this world, and then you're also isolated in the real world, and you're just craving this connection to other people. It's so funny because the way they communicate as you travel from place to place is they just have these holograms. They're keeping their distance. Rarely is Sam standing next to somebody else whenever he goes to these new places, and it seems like humanity is just living indoors. They have to because of the threats that are out. The timefall, which is a crazy concept where whenever it rains, it just ages everything at a quicker speed. Yeah, everybody's stuck inside, relying on our delivery people to bring us the things that are keeping us alive. Quite literally, you could say Death Stranding is a representation of the times which were locked down. To me, I'm not going through that sort of isolation, but in some ways I am, and I think a lot of us are, and I think a lot of people who were in high school and in college during lockdown, I feel like in a lot of ways they were taking this social experience away from them. I was a sophomore when everything locked down, and I missed out on my second semester sophomore year. My whole junior year of college was hybrid and it was weird. You could go in, but it was masks, so why would you go in, I guess? I mean, I still did. And then my senior year was back to normal, which didn't really feel normal. Would have loved to have another year and a half in college to get to know myself without the pressures of the world. And even if you didn't go to college, if you didn't get to go to your high school prom or homecoming, and you didn't have your senior or junior year or a graduation, like, those are very impactful things. I don't think it's controversial to say that, yeah, it did affect a lot of people and it's gonna have an impact on a generation. Now we dive into Death Stranding, where that is it. The world ended, and then you realize that even after the world has ended, there's still going to be people there for human will or whatever it be to push us forward. But then you dive into these really interesting questions of, well, do we want to become reconnected? Do we want to go back to the way that things were? And I find that so interesting because the Bridges organization, which is, the guys that you're working for, they want you to deliver this package and connect. And I remember, I think it's Deadman in the game, he is always talking about the world as it was.
Back in the day, AI did everything. Deliveries were handled by unmanned vehicles and drones. All we had to do was sit back and let them work. It was revolutionary, damn near singularity. No reason for it not to take off, but it did. People didn't like it when we took the human element out of the service industry.
But then there's this big contrast with the militia group that actually wants us to push ourselves and trigger these big explosions whenever a BT eats a person. They just create this crater like a nuclear explosion, and they want that to happen. I haven't dived super deep into the game to get to the later parts of the story, and I'm not going to spoil it in case you found this video and you're interested in playing Death Stranding since the new one's coming out. It's just so interesting to me that you have that clash, because it's so easy when you're growing up to just be like, oh yeah, those are the people that they're the good guys, they're telling me what to do, I'm going to do what they need to do. But like when you get older, you really need to start questioning, in a healthy way, in a researched way, is this really the right direction? Should we really be moving the needle backwards? Should we really return, or are we better off just accepting what we have and living the rest of our lives? And take away the post-apocalyptic notion of it all and think about your most recent breakup or failure or disappointment or somebody passed away or anything of the sort that life throws at you. It throws these curveballs at you, and it just talks about how do you move on, because at some point you need to realize that life is just a constant thing that is going on around you. Like, time is not stopping, and the time fall concept in the game, it really is like accelerating that time, and it's saying, hey, if all of your time could just go away right now, what would you be doing? What I found so wonderful about the game too is its social aspect and online interaction with others, and being able to leave kind of like emotes and be able to create different structures that can help somebody else in their journey throughout this area, and so on and so forth. And to me, I just think that highlights the fact that since there's so many of us in this planet that are constantly living and everywhere all the time, we kind of forget all of the things we do for each other inadvertently. For example, somebody built a bridge in Death Stranding, and I was like, whoever you are the best human being ever. Like, I don't know who you are, but you building this bridge or you starting this, thank you so, so much. So, editing this video, and I think the point I'm trying to make here is, as our needs are constantly met more and more and more, we just find that we stop really feeling like somebody had to put work in to do that. Like, think about all the things that you do in your daily life now that you know because you were taught those things. And think about all the minuscule things that you know because you were taught those things. Think about like going to the bathroom, cleaning yourself up, showering, brushing your teeth. All of those things were taught to you by your parents. But you never think about it in that way because they seem so second nature and instinctual. Like bridges, whatever, like roads, cars. Somebody built that thing for you. Yeah, they sell it for you because we live in a society that favors capitalism. But those things were built by somebody else, and you never even think about the fact of the work that goes into those things because everything just meets what you need then and there. And that's fine. And I think that's something we don't often think about. It's like, who built these roads? Who built that bridge? How is this being funded? How are these people helping these people out? And we just don't think about it because we just go in the notion of like, that's just how it's supposed to happen. You know what I mean? That's just how it's supposed to happen. Like, yeah, the government's supposed to pay for that. Yeah, that's supposed to happen. But you forget these really intricate things that are happening behind the scenes. You know, yeah, politicians are talking and chatting, committed, blah, blah, blah. But behind politicians doing something, you usually find some sort of group that is working intertwined to push something forward, whether it's good or bad or divisive. You know, you have a group of people at an intersection, right, where the foot traffic is high and people keep crossing and jaywalking, and well, it takes one of us to be like, maybe we should put a proper crosswalk here, like a stoplight or something. But it's up to us to individually take initiative to do those things. And sometimes we don't even realize what us doing that, like the kind of impact that has. Another thing I realized is our metric for success, our metric for what makes somebody valuable, is so skewed because of the incredible amount of wealth that is out there, that we don't take the time to appreciate the small things that the small people do. And nobody is small. We're all human beings. We're all equal. But we need to appreciate the fact that there's someone out there who dedicates their life to teach your children. There's someone out there who loves the fact that they cut hair. That's your barber. That someone who loves to cook and becomes a chef. And we always just gravitate to the outliers, the top 1% of every single one of those. But the thing is, if there wasn't a lot of people who had similar passions or similar interests, we would struggle as a society. And we need to understand that, like, yeah, billionaires and they have all this money and yacht and freedom, but we are not all going to be billionaires. That is a plain truth that we need to accept, but we can all get fulfillment out of sharing what interests us and creating things that interest us, because we don't know how that can impact another person. Like me creating this video for Death Stranding could impact you in a way, and I don't know that. But if I never made that video, you could never be impacted, and I, we can never help each other out, and that's what it's like to be connected as people. I remember you start the game and the couple of first hours you're just walking everywhere and like using ladders and trying to figure out this and that, and then finally you have access to a vehicle, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I can go anywhere, I can do anything, I can do so many more things, and I think that vehicle just represents another sense of freedom, and the game's almost like giving it to you slowly. It's almost like here, here's the next step, and here's the next step, and here's the next step. And I think it's more closely related to life rather than most video games where like you jump in right away and suddenly you can do whatever you want and you have all this access. And I feel like that's the way video games and gaming and media has just moved towards a what would we do in a limitless creative world where you could do anything. And now it's almost like a counterbalance. It's like a pendulum one way, now it's coming away. And I think Death Stranding is the first to really be like, wait a minute, but what if we take a minute and slow down everything? Because maybe now we live in a world where everything is so quick outside of everything else that when we get home we just want to have some sort of serenity and slowness. Because as you grow up, as you age, life just becomes this constant revolving door every single day. And that sounds stressful, and don't be stressed about it because it's really not that deep. Yeah, I just wanted to come on here and talk about Death Stranding. I've been enjoying the game. I'm looking forward to the second one. If you played Death Stranding and you have anything that sticks out to you philosophically or literally, metaphorically, however you want to put it, that what is it about this game that stuck with you? Like, and if you want to share that in the comments, please do. If you don't, but you want to stick around, you like these video formats where I just sit and I talk to you about the things that stick out to me, and you want to be part of this Socratic seminar experience as an active listener, make sure to leave a like, subscribe,